Welcome to the Art of Classiness podcast, a show where we redefine what it means to be a classy lady. And sometimes it's messy. I'm Robin.
And I'm Deborah, two friends turned classy ladies who are here to discuss life's ups and downs, navigating the complexities of adulthood, and how the gift of friendship is essential to belonging.
Today we're talking about one of the most pivotal and sometimes intimidating moments in any relationship, the first time you're blending your partner with your friends.
It's a dance of first impressions, loyalty tests, and a little bit of detective work. And we're here to help you navigate it with style and grace.
We actually explored this in a recent Class or Crass segment, and the flood of feedback and personal stories you shared made us realize there was so much more to unpack. So here we are, dedicating a full episode to it.
So follow along, give us your feedback, and don't forget to like and subscribe. What's up, classy ladies and gentlemen? Robin, how are you? Let's do a little check-in.
It's been a beautiful week in Bend, and tonight we're going to a yoga and sound bath class.
Ooh.
I'm really excited. And last night we went for a walk, and at the end of our street, it overlooks the Old Mill District, which has this outdoor amphitheater, and we could see Brad Paisley performing and hear it.
Oh, nice.
So we just sat on a rock and listened to some music for a few minutes. We were just this is pretty dope.
Yeah. Oh, you make Bend sound so magical and pure.
It feels magical. We're really enjoying it here, and just having the doors open all day. It's such a luxury that we didn't have in Austin. If you had a door open, you were running up your AC bill.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you can't turn it off. You cannot turn off the AC.
No, not for one solitary second. Oh, well, that's awesome. I'm so happy that you guys are acclimating and enjoying it and just coming across all these cute little treasures and things to do. That's great.
Thanks. How are you?
We are surviving. I am surviving. Here we go. Hopefully thriving soon. It was the first week where my kids did not have school and I worked from home. And boy, they are feral. They have entered their feral era in terms of they just hit boyhood hard. All of a sudden, they're obsessed with climbing this tree in the backyard, right? Which would not be as unnerving if I could be in the backyard with them while they're doing it,
Right.
But I'm not. I'm upstairs and they get their friends to come over. I went in the backyard. I got two kids in a tree. The other two trying to climb the fence so they can look into our neighbor's backyard. And then a third one was piling all these loose bricks that I have. And I'm okay, when did my backyard become a just boy-centric zone of destruction with danger in every corner? So that part has been kind of unnerving to really be trying to focus and managing them. And I'm going to have to come up with a better structure and routine. It was also raining a lot this week, so just a lot of stir-crazy indoor kind of stuff. But here I am. I made it through the week. I'm just looking forward to an isolated weekend of regulating my system again.
Yeah. I feel that. You talking about your boys reminds me of when I was a kid and the way that my brothers and their friends were. So destructive.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
Let me take this thing apart without thinking about how to put it back together.
Right.
Let me start building this treehouse and never finish it. Let's climb on the roof.
Oh, yeah.
So that when mom comes home, she just sees us on the roof.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep, we had that. I saw them. They were like, hey, Mom, check it out. And they're on the roof of my shed, which is not the worst deal, but it's only a matter of time until they're like, let's try jumping off.
Someone's going to break their arm. It's going to happen.
Someone's going to break their arm, 100%. And so I'm just just trying to get through that stress and anxiety of making sure that I'm not a bad mom and neglecting them.
No, yeah.
So yeah, it's been great. It's been fun. Super great.
It's a new era for you, for sure. I wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm hoping to be able to find a babysitter for a few hours a week that can take them places or just like
Get them out of the house.
keep an extra eye on them, get them out of the house so they're not so bored all the time. But, we'll see. One thing at a time, one thing at a time.
One thing at a time.
All right, well, let's move into our classy convo. And this week, we are talking about the art of the friend launch, meeting your partner's friends and vice versa when you are the new girlfriend or boyfriend meeting your partner's closest inner circle. So I'm really excited to dig into the nuances of this because I know there are so many stories of this situation just not going well at all.
And boy, have we lived through some, what's the word?
What a cast of characters have come out of some of these clown cars, am I right?
A cast of characters, yes. And with our friend group specifically, like, we're not an easy crowd.
Mm-mm.
Especially the guys. So I'm excited to just talk about some of our own personal experiences of bringing some significant others into the group. Seth being my most recent one, and thankfully the best one. So
And the last. And the
Yes.
last, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I was thinking about this conversation today earlier, and I realized that I am the only single person in our group of friends right now. And not only that, I'm the only one that's not married.
Yeah, that was me for my entire 20s and most of my 30s. So
Yep. Here we are. Here I'm waiting for I'm not really waiting for someone to join me. I would never want someone to join me under any circumstance, but I'm just saying. Man, sometimes it's nice to just have somebody in the trenches with you because
totally.
bringing in a new person into the group or when you're dating and maybe you are just, trying to use your friends as like another layer of vetting for your relationships. Sometimes it goes well. They tell you what you need to hear. Other times, you have that new relationship energy, those love goggles on, and you can't see what they see. And that is where it gets so interesting.
So interesting. And it's intimidating. It's a high stakes environment because the first impression really matters. It matters to you. It matters to the friends. It dictates how things are going to pan out.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not you're going to keep bringing that significant other around, whether or not you're going to hang out with your friends less because they don't like them. It's a whole bag of shit. And we're going to get into all of it today.
Yeah, we're going to talk about what it's like when you are bringing somebody into the friend circle and different things that you can pick up from your friends, maybe advice that you don't need to take. And then we're also going to talk about what it's like when you are meeting your partner's friends for the first time, because you might think that your friends are a tight-knit, really unique group, and then your partner may feel the exact same way about his or her group of friends. So how do you merge those worlds together? Can everybody just be a big, massive group of friends, or are you going to have to pick and choose what you do on your weekends now? So yeah, a lot to cover for sure.
Let's dive in.
Let's dive in.
So let's talk about how to introduce a new partner like a classy adult.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what we are now.
Yeah, that's what we are. So I think the first step is really understanding when is it the right time to make these introductions. And before you even make the introductions, when do you actually tell your friends, so I'm kind of talking to somebody, back when you were dating, Robin, how soon would you kind of bring people into the fold of letting them know that there could possibly be a significant other?
When I ended my 3.5-year relationship in 2019, between that and the time that I met Seth, that was a window where no one was meeting anybody
Yeah.
I was dating. I was going through a journey of self-discovery,
Mm-hmm.
and I met a lot of duds. And that's not to say my friends didn't hear about these people.
Right.
Because they did. But I got to a point where, you're not meeting my friends unless I actually think this is going somewhere.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, it's just a waste of everybody's time. Why am I going to bring a stranger around my friends if I know that it's not going to last. And then my friends have to put in all this effort to get to know someone new that's not going to stick around. It's just too much work for everybody, you know?
Yeah, people take this approach differently. And it also kind of just depends on like this season of life that you're in. Like when you're younger and you're in your 20s and you're just kind of always being social and you're going to bars and happy hours, it's so easy to just sort of being like, hey, this is Paul. And
Totally.
like go to the next bar and everybody's drinking together and it's not as formal. Like when you get older and your social events 90% of the time are at somebody's home, mostly during the day.
Yeah.
There's a lot more pressure. It feels like you're doing something by bringing an outsider into the group. And not to mention, if you have not established the relationship and you're just like, this is Paul. And then Paul gets a moment with somebody else that doesn't know who he is. And they're like, how do you know, Robin?
How'd you guys meet?
They're like,
Was it an orgy, you said?
Oh, yeah, like, right. Yeah, how did you meet? A dating app, okay? It's always a date. Stop asking, how did you meet? It's 90% of the time going to be a dating app. So that alone, if you've not established what you are yet, it could be super awkward to introduce them to pretty much anybody. But, as you get older and when you're an adult, those stakes just seem higher for sure.
Yeah. Well, and you get better at spotting the signs that it is the right time to make those introductions.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's the different launch phases, which my favorite is the one-on-one. Like when Seth and I first started dating, we went on like 4 dates the first week. Like we just really hit it off. And one of those dates, I ended up meeting one of his friends that was in town visiting. So got to hang out with that guy. We had a great night. And then a week later, we went to dinner with his best friend. And so I got like the sign off, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
From these two friends to where he just felt like, oh, okay, so like you can meet all my friends now. I don't care. It was just like the pressure felt less.
Right.
Because I'm only having to focus my attention on one person, one personality type. It's a lot harder when you just get exposed to an entire group of people that you've never met and the first impression matters.
Right. And you feel really torn. And I am the worst at trying to figure out what conversation to join in a setting where everyone's standing around in like semicircles.
It's so stressful.
It's like I'm just going to stand here awkwardly and just sort of laugh at things that people say until someone asks me a question. And I mean, I feel very socially awkward in those types of moments. So I think I would agree with you. I would prefer like a one-on-one when it comes to being like in person. If you're not quite ready to do that, you could virtually introduce your new partner to your friend just by sending them their Instagram handle, being like, check them out. Because they're going to dive in deep. They're going to get the information that they need to get. They're on the hunt.
It's true.
They're on the case,
You could post little like photos or videos on your stories too, just little snippets of them being silly or funny.
Right.
And their natural element.
Yeah. There's like a whole trend of private, not secret. And it's sort of like on social media where you do things that show that you're in a relationship, but you also don't show who the person is. So on your stories, it could be like
holding hands.
Maybe not even holding hands, but like it's a dinner plate, but you see another dinner plate and like a man's watch, on the other side of the table. Or just like 2 knees touching each other as you're watching a sunset. Like just very subtle, like I'm in a relationship, but like I'm not going to give too much information. Now, I would never post something like that without telling anybody else that I was seeing someone. Like that feels a little too private to me. But for some people, like you said, you want to vet them out. You want to know that it's like something that could potentially go long term or at least be, a solid relationship before you even tell your friends that, hey, I'm dating someone.
Well, and like you said, it's different when you get to your 30s and 40s. Like I made so many mistakes in my 20s, introducing people too soon to my friends, introducing people that should have never met my friends. And your friends will let you know.
Yeah.
And it's mortifying. It's mortifying because at the same time, I'm like, well, I really like this guy, so I'm going to keep dating him right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels shitty.
It does feel shit. But you know what? Sometimes, like, I will say I've been in the opposite situation where I waited too long to introduce a significant other to my friends. And I could tell that it didn't go well, that it was not okay, that I just felt like our differences were wildly on display once my boyfriend and my friends were in the same room.
Yeah.
And I've talked about this before, just like the tension of trying to be two different people at once. Not that I'm two different people, but, you know, like when people know you in totally different ways, trying to sort of balance that. And I knew in that moment that the relationship had an expiration date for sure. And I hoped it would get better upon the second meeting, and it didn't. It really didn't get much better the second time. And that's when I really was like in my head for a while after that of like, oh no. Everybody was nothing but kind and nothing but sweet. In fact, no one said jack shit to me until we broke up. And then it was like a collective sigh of relief of our friends being like, yeah, girl, we knew. We knew that wasn't it. That was not it for you.
We wanted to be supportive.
And you guys were, and it was great. But you always know when your friends are not aligned, let's just say.
100%. Otherwise, like, that's not your friends if you can't read the room.
Yeah. And as a people pleaser, my antenna is always on.
Yep. Same.
Always on.
Samesies.
Yeah, you kind of have to weigh the pros and cons of like, when is the right time to really integrate your friends into the situation? And sometimes you have to weigh, do their opinions matter to how I'm feeling about this relationship, right? That's always kind of a moment where you might know like that maybe a friend doesn't get along with your new partner. And you really have to stop and make a decision for yourself. Like, what is best for me? Because the reality is the only two people who know a relationship are the people in the relationship. Everybody else is really just getting a bird's eye view.
That's true.
They might have information that you're not considering, but at the same time, like there's a point where you have to figure out like, am I trying to please my friends and make everything good with my friends? Or should I just chase my own happiness, which is being in this relationship? And that can be a hard moment. You might feel like a lose-lose situation.
Totally. And I would say, like, if this is a relationship that you're actually excited about and you really do want your friends to meet this person, it's on you to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you better not say a single negative thing about this person before your friends meet. They need to feel excited. Like, oh, like, it sounds like he makes you so happy and he treats you so well. Like, we're so excited to meet him. You know, it's not going to go well if you're already having arguments, if you're already not seeing eye to eye, if he's already not prioritizing you. Your friends are going to have an opinion before they even meet this person. So be careful.
Yeah. And that is the balance. You know what I mean? That is the balance of like, what do you disclose? What do you keep to yourself? When do you start to show people behind the scenes as to maybe some of the uglier sides of your relationship if you have one? So a lot of that you want to take in consideration because when you are in a new relationship, the chemicals in your brain actually change. There's like a combination of love chemicals between dopamine, oxytocin, and endorphins that just literally course through your brain and change your brain chemistry. So your logic sometimes goes out the window, and your friends can really be a good foil to maybe remind you of things that you always said were important to you. And a great friend will find that balance between being a support system and also not being judgmental and potentially negatively impacting your new relationship.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. You don't want to be that friend.
Right.
Should we talk about red flags to watch for that might indicate whether you should introduce them to friends and family at all?
Yeah, absolutely.
I was in, like, I specifically remember a relationship that I immediately knew my friends did not like him. And even after that, and I should have like seen this as a huge red flag, he had no interest in ever getting to know you guys or hanging out with you. Did not give a shit. He flat out told me he didn't like y'all. He's like, I don't really like your friends. He wasn't like pointing people out specifically, but he was just like, your friends are lame. And I'm like, but they're my friends and you should care.
Yeah. Well, joke's on you, buddy. We thought you were lame too.
Yep. I think it was mutual. So that's definitely one huge red flag is
For sure.
if they're avoiding meeting your friends or hanging out with your friends, think of that long term. You're going to be dealing with that forever if y'all stay together.
Yeah, it's almost a huge barrier. It really forces you to have to choose where you're going to spend your time, or have to almost negotiate them coming to events that your friends are having. Like, please, can we just go for a little bit? I just want to see them, like the game's on. And that's a really crappy place to be because you want to be able to, like bringing dogs to a dog park. You want to be able to go socialize with your friends and just let your partner run and play with the other boys that are there.
Yes.
And if they can't do that comfortably, it can be so uncomfortable.
Well said. Any other red flags?
Yes. I think if you are hesitant to introduce them to your friends, you should explore that feeling a little bit more. If you are like, oh, I don't know, and if you don't really see anything in common between your boyfriend, girlfriend, and your friends, sometimes you might think, well, that's okay, because he and I or she and I have so much in common. But if it's like so vast that you can't even conceive of everybody being in the same room together and having anything to talk about, you might want to dive deeper. What are you doing in this relationship?
Yes. And if you are feeling hesitant, A, that's a red flag. B, talk to your friends about why you're feeling hesitant. And you'll either come to the conclusion of oh, maybe this isn't going to work out. Or your friends will decide, you know what, we got to meet them. We need to meet them and suss this out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you decide to introduce them. Sometimes your friends help you determine whether or not this is going to be long term.
Yeah, which again makes the case for maybe doing it earlier than later, right? You don't want to get so deep into a relationship that by the time your friends are like, oh, I don't know, it's kind of like, well, I can't just break up with him because my friends don't like him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not heavy enough of an excuse. Although, you know what? It is if you want it to be. You can break up for whatever reason you have. Okay?
Yeah.
Do it. My biggest piece of advice to young people is just to break up. Okay? Break up. Give it a try. If you're thinking about breaking up, you should probably break up. And you know what? Sometimes that means that you will realize being apart that you want to be back together and you want to work on it. Other times you will be shocked how easy it is to get over them. So just give it a try. Give it a try and break up.
Give it a whirl. So if you have decided to introduce your significant other to the friend group, there are some classy and trashy ways to do it. And this is one of the things we talked about last week with our class or crass. Surprise +1s without warning. That is not how you want to launch your relationship with your friends. No one's prepared.
No one is prepared. It puts everybody on edge a little bit. And I think it puts you in a difficult position as well. You're trying to field maybe different reactions to the situation. You're probably getting a lot of questions like, how did you guys meet? Where do you all of a sudden they're put into kind of an interrogation situation without warning. So yeah, don't just drop somebody in without giving the group a heads up.
Yeah, I agree. And you might accidentally put yourself in a situation where you have to answer questions you're not ready to answer about the relationship itself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you boyfriend and girlfriend? It's like, oh, well, we're just keeping it loose. Just, taking it day by, it, and then you get in your head about it. It's,
not good. Not good. Another thing you may encounter is the interrogation friend. The one that is like, okay, let's get down to brass tacks. Like, where do you work?
Are you really good enough for my friend?
Right. What's your history? How come you're still single? Like, oh, you know what it's like? Monica's sister on this past season of Love is Blind.
Yes. Great example.
The Minnesota cast. She was the one that was engaged to Joey.
She ended up being right.
But you know what? Monica was not ready to hear it in that moment, and Joey didn't deserve it in that moment.
Totally. No. I'm definitely not justifying the way she handled that. It was poor. You can have those thoughts. Keep them inside.
Yeah.
Or bring it up in a different way when the new significant other isn't right there.
Not right there, and not when it's being filmed for television so that you can be read for filth on every single social media platform. Like, just a million ways to not do it. But there are those people, like some friend groups or some families have that person that's like, I don't really give a shit if I hurt your feelings. I don't really care if you're uncomfortable right now. And I don't like being in rooms with those people, if I'm being totally honest.
No. Get me out.
So if you have an interrogation friend, you might want to set some expectations, which is also why you don't want to do the surprise, bringing them to an event. But if you have that friend, you should probably temper expectations, or maybe have it be in a venue where somebody can swing in and kind of run defense a little bit. Definitely not the person you want to do the one-on-one with.
That's exactly what I was about to say. That is not the one-on-one meetup.
Mm-hmm.
You need that one-on-one to be with a friend that is going to most easily be on your side so that they can go and tell all your other friends, no, they're cool.
Right.
It's cool. They were great. Like, da-da-da-da-da. You need someone to soften that landing of just like, here they are.
Yeah, definitely.
This is all so important because integrating your partner into your social life, it builds trust and emotional safety for everyone involved. Or it can show you if something's not right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would say a giant green flag for me was at mine and Seth's wedding when we had his friends and my friends coming, friends from throughout our lives, not just one group of friends. Putting them all together in a room and seeing everyone get along was just chef's kiss. It was so validating of like, this is going to be a solid marriage. Like, I mean, I already knew that, but it just felt really nice. Like, there was no drama.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone had a great time, and that's what you're looking for.
That is such a validating feeling. And hopefully one you get to experience like before the wedding day, right? Like,
yeah.
Obviously you guys had a very like unique, well, not unique, but a special experience in the sense where you had people travel together and really get to know each other because it was in another country, which is a great way to do it and a really great way to sort of build those external bonds with each party's group of friends. But yeah, being able to look around the room and you see everybody's getting along and someone can just slide right in and like easily converse with one another. Yeah, that is a great feeling.
It's so great.
So we have talked about how you can prepare your significant other for your group of friends, but what happens when you are the new girlfriend or the new boyfriend and the shoe is on the other foot? How do you make sure that you can win over the friend group without making it look like you are trying too hard?
Yes. And we've talked a lot about first impressions already, but I think sometimes we get so nervous that we're focusing on the wrong things about how we're going to make a good impression. And without trying too hard is the key phrase. You have to be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Unapologetically. And if they don't accept you, then that's a red flag.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's a conversation you're going to need to have with your significant other of like, what happened here? Like, was this just an off day? Are they just really hard on new people? What's the deal?
Yeah, you don't want to just show their friends the most perfect, idealized, maybe not even real version of you, right? Because masks come off. And so you got to think about the negative impact if you go to an event and you're laughing way too hard at a joke that's not funny, or, just trying way too hard. Like, you all know when someone is trying way too hard. I have been that person who has tried way too hard, and I get annoyed with myself in those moments, right? Where you can just feel like you are just trying to put on the performance of a lifetime. If you are going to see those friends over and over again, if you're going to be doing other things, maybe like a getaway weekend at a cabin or something, you can't maintain that facade, right? Like, they're going to see, moments where you're frustrated or just pissy or just like despondent. And all of a sudden you're going to appear two-faced. So there's no reason to not be yourself, because hopefully the reason that your significant other is with you is for who you are and your authentic self. So let their friends experience that side of you as well.
I actually met several of Seth's friends for the first time on a trip that he invited me on within a few weeks of us dating. And I wanted to make such a good first impression. I was like, let me show off my planning skills. I planned the whole trip.
Wow.
Spreadsheets on spreadsheets. I got groceries, transportation, everything.
Sounds right. That tracks.
The one person who helped and was appreciative, like, was the exception, but everyone else, like, I really did not feel like they gave a shit about all the work that I did. And in fact, like, that's when I got into an argument with Seth's best friend because he was drunk.
Oh.
And I was terrified that Seth was going to break up with me. Like, we had just become official like 2 weeks previous. And I was like, I cannot be fighting with his best friend.
Oh no.
It was rough. So be careful. You go on a trip that early. Like, I went way too hard with my planning. Like, and I was proud of it. Everyone had a great time. But it was just like the impression that I thought I was making, it didn't pan out the way it in my mind, because none of those people are planners. And people who aren't planners don't appreciate what planners do. It's just a fact.
Right. They're like, you guys want to do something totally different today instead? And you're like, but my spreadsheet. Oh, and then you're in your head and your feelings are hurt. And it's like, yeah, learn from Robin, you guys. Just tone it down a little bit on the first meeting. But
to be fair, though, Seth was very proud of me. He loved the effort that I put in.
Good.
Because it's not like I was being fake. I was just like, I went hard. I was trying really hard. Because I was like, this guy is amazing.
Oh, yeah, you're aiming to impress. And that's really why people do that, right? Like, you want their friends to immediately text your significant other and be like, I loved them. Oh my gosh, they're amazing. Wow, you're so lucky. I mean, guys, I don't think do that in general, right? But in our female brains, we're like, oh my God, when he talks to his friends, they are just going to rant and rave about me. Like, that is our fantasy. That's what we want. So when we're in those situations, like, we're just hoping for that 5-star Yelp review at the end of this entire ordeal, you know? So there is a lot of pressure to maybe put your best self on display, but it can be really easy for that desire to be liked to come off in very wrong ways.
Totally. Well, we should talk about some do's and don'ts, right? Like, I just shared a don't. What are some other don'ts that come to mind?
Well, one thing I am always guilty of is dominating the conversation. When I get uncomfortable in a group, there's 2 modes. I either am quiet and don't really talk to anybody and just sort of smile and try to be aesthetically pleasing, or I can't shut up. And I, especially in new situations when I'm nervous, like, I really try to be aware of it if I feel like I'm talking too long. And then I'll be like, what about you, Joe? Where do you go on vacation? Just like hoping to pass the baton to somebody else to run with. But man, it is definitely a coping mechanism for some people. So it's something to be mindful of so that you don't look like a ham.
Yeah. And to counter that, something you can do instead is be curious and listen more than you talk. You don't have to be the most interesting person in the room. In fact, people like you more when they feel heard by you. When you show interest in somebody, they're so excited to talk about themselves, right? The same way you talk about yourself because that's what you're comfortable doing. You know the most about you and it's easy, right? Just switch that onto the other person.
Yeah. In fact, this can also be a tool you can use in the dating process as well to just have somebody feel a little bit more at ease.
Yeah.
Just ask them more questions. And I tell you, guys really feel like the date has gone well when they've gotten to talk about themselves the whole time. They really do. They're like, man, you're just so easy to talk to. I had a really great conversation with you. And you're like, sir, that was not a conversation. I was interviewing you and you didn't ask me a single fucking question. So, but people like talking about themselves, which is why it's easy to dominate the conversation, but can also be the answer to being well received if you turn it around and put the questions on them. Because that brings us to another thing that maybe you don't want to do is just overshare relationship details. Like nothing is more uncomfortable. And you know what? I'll even tag on excessive PDA to this.
Yeah.
When you are meeting a new group of friends and you guys can't keep your hands or mouths off each other. No, I'm sorry. I don't know, maybe if I'm a prude, but I'm like, guys, you're only away from your bedroom for like 2 hours to be at this dinner. Can you just come up for air for a minute and like actually meet and get to know us? We had friends, had being the optimal word, that were just always all over each other and not.
It was tacky.
It was tacky. It was so tacky. And it made it hard to like feel friendly with them because it just made all of the dynamics really hard because this was also somebody, we used to have the kind of relationship where we would bust each other's balls. And when she entered the picture, she would like mother him. So we would be like, you idiot. And she'd be like, no, you're not an idiot.
That makes me want to vomit.
So gross. It's like, lady, you're new here. I get that. But like, this is what we do. Like, we didn't get along and they cut us out of their lives and then they divorced. So
it's fine.
Learn from those mistakes. Fuck them.
Yeah. Oversharing can be quite awkward. Like, consider what I want him to tell his friends about this. Like when you're around your friends, it's easy to like just fall into like what you're used to, which is being completely open and honest. But when you're the new girlfriend or boyfriend and you're being introduced to their group of friends, these people don't know you.
Right.
And the first thing that they learn about you is like intimate details about you and their friend. Like it's not a good look. It's not a good look.
It's not. And it makes it just like, it becomes an elephant in the room and it's hard to overcome. And it is tacky. Like it is tacky. Like there's another friend that dated someone that I was very openly I did not get along with her boyfriend. I did not really get along with him. And a big reason was upon our first weekend, like hanging out together, he started saying the crudest things about her in front of her to me. And I felt so disrespected for her. Now, she seemingly didn't care, but I just felt like it's so inappropriate. I don't know you that well for you to say these like very explicit things to me about her in front of her. Like the whole thing was just very disrespectful. And in that moment, I'm like, you're not good enough for her. You're not good enough for her at all. And that opinion never went away. I just felt like he was kind of tacky and immature. And I was not very quiet about that. I wish I had handled that situation differently. I was in my 20s, obviously.
Yeah.
But that kind of oversharing can really make people uncomfortable and put a huge wedge in between your friend and their friends.
So something you can do differently, what you can do instead, because meeting a whole new group of friends it's overwhelming, it's stressful. But if you have some reference material going in, that's a great conversation starter. Like, hey, so-and-so told me about the time that y'all went cliff diving and this crazy thing happened. Like, I want to hear your side.
Yeah.
Then you get to hear, like, did they tell the story differently? You get to ask more questions. And then you can be like, oh, have you done this before? Do you like going hiking? It opens the door to so many other conversations. And again, it takes the attention off of you.
Yeah, 100%. And it shows that you're a good listener and that you're invested in their friendships as well.
Yeah.
You know, like, so why do they call you Big Toe Joe? You know, I got to know more about that story. And you're like, what? He told you about that? It's just like a win-win-win because they feel like, oh, wow, he really or she really took the time to like share these stories and they're obviously getting to know each other. And you're right, it gives them the opportunity to talk about themselves and it just takes the pressure off you.
It feels less like an interview when you already just have these references.
Yeah, it's like you're sharing common ground, right? The commonality is the significant other. So if you can put the focus on your individual and collective relationships with that person, it just makes it a lot easier. And it can also be a way for you to tell if this is going well. Because if you're like, oh my God, I heard that crazy cliff diving story where you almost died, tell me everything. And they're like, oh yeah, it was fine.
Yeah.
And they don't match your energy.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, well, I don't think this is going well, which can be uncomfy, but good to know.
Yeah, exactly. You're just gathering information. This is just as much an interview for them as it is for you.
Yeah.
And I think going in with that mindset is going to help you like feel less nervous.
So finding common ground sometimes may lead you to the other thing that they have in common, which is their ex-girlfriend or ex-boyfriend. And it can be really tempting to badmouth that ex, especially if the friends didn't like their previous boyfriend or girlfriend. But I would not advise that strategy of bad-mouthing their ex.
Yeah. First of all, if the friend group still has ties to that person, like if they still consider that ex a friend in some way, it's just not a good look. And then it might make them wonder, oh, do you just talk shit about everyone when they're not around?
Yeah, right.
And I would hate to have that label on my back.
Right. And you know what? Sometimes there's going to be some low-hanging fruit, right? Sometimes you might hear a conversation and they might have a friend that's like, oh my God, you're such an upgrade from the last girlfriend. It could be really tempting to be like, oh my God, tell me everything. I heard she was crazy, right? But best to just maybe be curious and say, oh, thank you. That's nice of you to say,
Yeah.
I know that relationship didn't end well, and I'm just glad that she gave me the chance to meet him. Keep it high level. Don't get into the dirt. And I mean, upon first impressions, maybe as you go closer and you get to know them a little bit better, then they can spill that tea. But the first time you're meeting them, like, don't get dragged down to like the rumors and the gossip and the trash talking.
Yeah, that's not the time. I love that. Keep it high level. Keep it classy.
Keep it classy,
There's time for gossip like that down the road when you have more established relationship with these people. When it's become more clear that you're sticking around.
Yeah, for sure. Ooh, I have a fun question. At what point do you connect with them on socials?
Oh, well, I've noticed that some people, like, that's their default. They don't even give you their phone number. They're like, what's your Instagram or TikTok handle? Like, what?
Yeah, that is true. I feel like this younger generation, that's how they get to know each other first, is on social media, and then you get their number. And we're in the generation where, like, you get their number, you decide if they're worthy enough to look into your life, and then you might shoot them a friend request or something like that. So I know that the generations are a little bit different. But yeah, that's how I kind of knew that I was in with previous relationships, when somebody in their circle would like send me a friend request. I'm like, oh, okay. You think I'm long-term potential, or you're just trying to snoop on my shit. But I'm going to think of the more positive output for that. So all this to say, being the new person can be super nerve-wracking. So make sure that you are staying curious, you're being kind, because that can go a long way into turning awkwardness into a connection and hopefully being the bridge that brings his friends or her friends with your friends, right? And then you can build an empire of friends.
Ooh, I like the sound of that.
I know.
Okay, so we've talked about what to do when introducing your significant other to your friends and vice versa when you're the significant other meeting their friends. Let's talk about what to do when, from either side, the friends and partner do not click. Like whether or not it's protectiveness or real concern. Let's get into that.
It's unrealistic to think that you are going to meet someone that's going to just perfectly fit in with your group of friends who have probably known you through many seasons of your life, who have never dated you, right? So like you might be a different girlfriend than you are friend. So it's okay if you do not meet somebody who is going to be besties with your besties. That's okay. So there's definitely a spectrum to when the vibes are off. So there is a dance of like weighing other people's opinions and having that impact the way that you view your relationship. So like, how can you tell if your friends are just being protective versus actually being concerned that you're like not, like you're in a toxic relationship?
It's a sticky situation. Navigating that is tough because you don't want to overstep. Like you said earlier, you never know everything that's going on in that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Well, unless someone's oversharing.
Yeah.
But I think you have to, it's the art of addressing it
Mm-hmm.
and finding the classy way to do that.
I would say when you're in that situation, if you are a perceptive person, you might be able to tell that things are not clicking. If you are starting to feel that way, it can be hard to do, but you might want to ask your friends like, hey, I'm kind of sensing that you aren't really feeling this. Like, I would love to know your perspective because I don't want to be just sitting here with rose-colored glasses on. Like, give me the real. And there are friends that like right away when you meet them, there's a debrief, right?
Yeah.
Let's get on a FaceTime. Let's get in the group chat and like, let's hear the raw opinions. But it's hard to give someone raw feedback when you can tell that they just have like the puppy love blinders on, you know?
Totally. If you've gone through the process of being introduced to the group of friends or introducing your significant other to the group of friends, and you know something's not right, I think, especially if you're excited about that relationship, your natural instinct is just keep them separate. And that's another red flag because keeping them separate doesn't address the elephant in the room, which is, okay, something's off. I don't know why. I don't know what happened, but you got to get to the bottom of it. Whether it's talking to your significant other about it and letting them handle it with their group of friends, or talking to your group of friends about what happened with your significant other being there. Like, you have to figure that out early on because it will blow up. And by keeping those versions of your life separate, it's going to create a lot of stress in the long run. I've been through that. Like, I had a boyfriend who didn't hate my friends, but also didn't care to know them, didn't care to get to know them, didn't put in the effort that I would have appreciated. So I just never saw those friends when we were together.
Yeah.
And it's not something that I thought about in depth of like, well, I'm not hanging out with my friends because my boyfriend doesn't want to.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I feel like women absorb a lot of the bad behavior of our male counterparts. And that's not exclusive to women. I know a few women who have isolated their boyfriends from their groups of friends, right? So it's not totally exclusive, but we absorb bad behavior. So when our significant other is difficult to have around your friends, you're like, oh, it's okay. It's okay. We'll just, we'll do something else. And like, you shield the situation, you shield them from criticism, you shield your friends from their bad behavior, and you just absorb it all. And that can take its toll on you over time. So if you are in this situation right now, because Robin and I can't go back and change the relationships that we were in for too long. But if you are listening to this and you've got that voice in your head that's telling you, I know my friends don't like my partner and I don't know what to do. This could be a sign that this is not the relationship that you want to be in. And it might take a while to get out. But I would be upfront with your friends and ask for, soft feedback, right? They don't need to be overly critical. But I would ask them, like, what are some things that you are seeing that I can't see, right?
When you know the vibes are off, if you're scared to get people whose opinions really matter to you, if you're scared to hear their side, all the more reason to hear their side.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta call yourself out
Do the thing that you are afraid to do. And that might even be asking your boyfriend or girlfriend, hey, why don't you like my friends? What is it about my friends that you don't want to be around them?
Yeah.
Because they're a central part of my life. And so I'm just trying to understand. And maybe their explanation will show you a side of them that you are just realizing that you're no longer compatible with.
Or it could show you that you have some toxic friendships.
Or it could do that. Or you could realize like, oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because it's not necessarily always the significant other. Like, it very well could be that you have toxic friends.
You could be the problem.
Yeah, maybe you have finally found the one, and that brings out a version in your friends that you've never seen before. Because they're insecure that they're going to lose their bestie, or they're jealous that they haven't found something like that yet. Like, it's so many different things. It seems so small, like being introduced to a group of friends, but it's actually very complex, and it holds a ton of fucking weight. You have to give it the time it deserves to think about all these different dynamics and perspectives.
So listen, it's not always going to be a toxic situation where you have to choose between your boyfriend or your friends. Sometimes it just might not be the perfect alignment, and you might not be ready to either break up with your significant other or stop hanging around with your friends. So if you are in those situations where maybe they've disclosed to you that they are not quite sure about this new person, something you can say is, I hear you, but I need to experience this for myself. Which is so true. Like, you are the one that has to endure it. So you need to take ownership of your own involvement in the situation.
And I think that's perfect from any angle, whether you're saying this to your significant other or they're saying it to you or your friends are saying this to you. There is a level of growing pains that I think sometimes these grievances that people may have or that you may have are actually just everyone learning to adapt to the new situation.
Mm-hmm.
Because some people can be very reluctant to change, including yourself.
It takes a few episodes in a season for the audience to like a new character. Okay.
Yeah.
So
you got to have that character development.
Got to have that arc. You got to have a little bit of conflict. You got to have a little bit of growth. So when you are bringing a new character into the television show that is your own life, give a little bit time, evaluate if it's a red flag or maybe it's just a hardship that you guys are enduring. But the best thing to do is just try to have an honest dialogue so you can hear your friends in an honest, authentic way, but you can make decisions for yourself as to what the best relationship for you to be in is.
Right. And maybe this is a good time to get a therapist if you don't already have one.
Yeah.
Just get that objective perspective.
Ooh,
I like that.
I like that.
Objective perspective. But yeah, this is all important because your friendships and your romantic life are both crucial parts of your identity.
Your relationship changes while you're in it. You go through your honeymoon stage where you're obsessed with each other. You go through trials and tribulations. And sometimes it works out. Most of the time it doesn't. So as long as you are being true to yourself, whether it is knowing what advice to take from your friends versus disregarding it entirely, or deciding to end a relationship, just make sure you're having these honest conversations with yourself so that you're in the right situation.
And make sure that you're making these decisions based on your own feelings.
Learn to be the loudest voice in your head.
Yeah. Trust your intuition.
All right, let's transition to our class act of the week. This is where we shout out someone, whether it's a listener, a celebrity, or a real-life example, who has just shown class or grace in something that they did. It could be an in-person interaction that we've had, or it could just be a great story that you saw on TikTok. But either way, we take turns sharing these class acts, and this week it is Robin's turn. So Robin, what is your class act of the week?
So my class act is a celebrity, and I intentionally didn't tell you who it was because I thought it would be a fun surprise.
Okay.
So I'm giving my shout out to Taylor Swift, baby.
I knew it. I knew it. Love it. Say it all.
Earlier today, she shared this heartfelt letter with her fans announcing huge news that she has officially taken back ownership of her entire music catalog. Like, I got emotional reading her letter. I got emotional, like, for her.
I did too.
Considering everything she's navigated, from the messy battles over her masters to the endless scrutiny of her personal life, this moment just feels like a huge triumph of both art and integrity. And she oozes integrity in my mind.
Yeah.
And she's not just an icon in the music world. Like, she's a symbol of what it means to stand up for yourself and rewrite your own narrative. Like, she has changed the industry. And, like, she's going to go down in history as one of, like, the greatest, most influential people ever. And this is for Taylor Swift, who will probably never hear this.
You never know.
But she's the queen of turning heartbreak into anthems. She's turned challenges into lessons, and she always does it with the highest level of class. And yeah, Taylor Swift, you are the classiest of the classies.
She's a perfect example of what it means to reclaim the narrative of your life. And I think everybody can learn a lesson from that nobody gets to be the final say on your story except for you. So great class act of the week.
Yes, yes.
All right, let's wrap it up with our final and favorite segment, class or crass. So we're going to go over a scenario and we are going to decide, is it classy or is it crassy? Robin, are you ready for this one?
Let's go.
Here's the scenario. You meet your partner's friends for the first time, and afterward, your partner gives you a full minute-by-minute recap. So-and-so thought you were cute, but they didn't love that you kept checking on your phone. And someone else said you were too quiet. So, is it classy to share everything or just crass to unload the group's gossip onto you?
Well, I'm going to say personally, that's not helpful feedback. It's an emotional burden, and it's only going to make me second guess everything else I said and did that day.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to be in my head the next time I hang out with these people. It's not helpful.
It's not helpful. I got my own voice in my head that's critiquing minute by minute what just happened in that interaction. I don't need you to add to the choir.
If there's feedback that would actually be helpful for the next time you're around that group of people, great. Let's talk about it. If it's something that you think would affect my relationships with them long term, yes, let's talk about it. But like the minute by minute recap, like they didn't love that you kept checking your phone. Like, what does that even mean? Why are they watching me so like a hawk?
Right.
I can check my phone as many times as I want because it is my emotional support device that
right.
I whip out when I'm feeling nervous. Like, I need to pretend to be texting someone, or maybe I am texting someone. Maybe I'm texting my friends that this is terrifying and I'm stressed out and I need support. You know, like, I think it's on the significant other to stand up for you to their friends. Like, yeah, she's not usually on their phone all the time like that. Maybe she was just nervous. Like, I don't know. It's just not fair to you that they bring that and unload it on you. Like, that's a scenario between your significant other and their friends. Like, they need to be protecting you from that.
Yeah, and there's a better way to give that critique without making it sound like your friends are judging you minute by minute, or their friends are judging you, I should say. You know, if that was the case, and maybe that is considered rude, and maybe it put off your partner that, like, they looked over and you were, like, super disengaged. A better way would be like, hey, is everything okay at work or at home? Like, I noticed you were on your phone a lot, and it just seemed like you really weren't present. So is everything okay?
Yeah.
Open up a conversation that way. But the hardest thing, you know, when you go into these situations, especially if you have social anxiety, is sometimes you can get to the point where you're like, you know what? You're overthinking this. No one is sitting there critiquing everything that you do, okay? Nobody is thinking about you as much as you are thinking about you. So just relax. And then to be proven wrong with your significant other being like, we were actually watching your every single move.
The worst.
You're like, I'm never going to get over this. I'm never going to get over this. I'm always going to keep my guard up. So yeah, it's just not classy to overshare. And it's also a violation of the friend's trust, quite frankly. I'm sure they didn't give you that feedback thinking that you were going to run and tell me. right? They
Yeah.
probably told you that with discretion. So for the
Yeah.
partner to just like really throw that trust out the window and be like, "Huh, he didn't like you," it's like just beyond rude.
Especially if your partner took what they said and then just made it sound way worse.
Right. Right.
Like their friends just said it in passing. I'm like, we didn't get to talk much. They were on their phone a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then your significant other comes over. It's just like, my friend said you were just on your phone all the time and they didn't get to talk. Like, talk about creating drama that isn't there.
Talk about an insecure and maybe toxic person to be in a relationship with if they're trying to find ways to make you feel worse about a situation where you were already anxious going into it. So, like, that can be a huge red flag.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
It's called negging, and it's something that misogynists do to women.
Oh, tell me more.
Oh, yeah. They want to keep your opinion of yourself really low so that you seek their approval.
Oh, kind of like David Lauren on Love is Blind.
1,000%.
He was negging her constantly.
Constantly negging her. And then she was like, but look, I did this. And then like you get that little nugget of approval. And all of a sudden they're just like trying to be in your good graces. So someone who like makes fun of your shirt, makes fun of your shoes, says your hair looks dumb, you know, but then it's like, I'm just kidding, you're beautiful. You're going to remember the mean comment first. And so you're going to be like trying to seek their approval. So if this friend is coming at you being like, my friends thought you were on your phone way too much, and you're like, they did? Oh my God. All of a sudden you're going to like try to be a good little girl the next time you're with them and just like only rise to seek their approval, which was the point in the first place. They want to feel a level of control over you. So if you're in that situation, get out of there. Get out of there.
Get out of there. So yeah, is it classy to share everything? No. I say it's crass to unload like that.
I agree.
Then you're just gossiping. It's not proactive.
It's not helpful either.
Yeah.
I declare it to be crass.
Declared.
That's it for today's episode. Whether you're the one introducing your partner or the friend trying to keep an open mind, we hope you're feeling more confident and a little less stressed.
Remember, the best first impression is one that's genuine and kind.
Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Art of Classiness and leave a review if this episode made you rethink how to navigate these social milestones.
Thanks for tuning in, and remember, classy is a state of mind.
So mind your classiness.
Bye.